A sacred stillness prevailed, not as silence, but as a condition, an immutable atmosphere dense with judgment unspoken. Here, within the deepest chamber of the underworld, where time lay coiled and forgotten, Hades reclined upon a throne carved from obsidian and veined with gold. Its luster did not gleam, but glowed with the fossilized memory of vanished rituals. Towering arches loomed above, blackened by aeons, shaped by hands that no longer bore names. In his posture, there was no slouch of sloth, but the precise inertia of sovereign disdain. What intrusion dares fracture the hush of my dominion? Hades asked, his voice like stone chipped in ritual. A guest without offering, draped in contradiction, exhaling prophecy. Or perhaps another dogged contender, ready to run his blade and give death a proper burial. He seeks audience, came the reply, not from a mouth, but from a voice worn thin by centuries, spoken through a servant whose form flickered like a memory unfinished. It was stitched from obsolescence, part dust, part echo. He names himself God, shaped of silence, termination, and echo. With a gesture as subtle as forgetting, Hades dismissed the sentiment. Then let the aberration speak. Let it wear its theater. The space did not open. It constricted. The air bent inward upon itself like a collapsing metaphor, and from the folds of unraveling presence emerged Nyarlathotep, not as a traveler, but as consequence. His form bled paradox. His robes were woven from ink and unmaking, trailing through the geometry of the chamber, as if mocking continuity. A mask orbited his central visage, split in eternal twain. One side locked in wailing grief, the other in ecstatic laughter. It hovered, not affixed, yet tethered to something deeper than flesh. His true face bore no expression, no form. It was a canvas of intention, a suggestion of personhood too disinterested in embodiment to commit. O warden of the final boundary, Nyarlathotep intoned, voice like a choir remembering its own extinction. How long hast thou lingered beneath a sky that sings only to thunder and wave? Unwitnessed, unpraised, unspoken. Hades as Lord of Louis. His eyes narrowed now slowly, like millennia waking, and a contempt older than names gathered behind them. Thou art familiar in posture, if not in face. Hast to some forgotten Greek god crept from Lethe to barter relevance? Speak thy name, O revenant. Art thou a lesser Forces, or some broken shard of morals come to wax poetic in my hall? Nyarlathotep paused, not in hesitation but in consideration. The mask did not blink, but the space around it flinched. When he answered, it was not voice alone, but presence layered over meaning. Thou mistaketh me, warden. I am no echo of Olympus. I am not rebirth. I am recursion, not one of thy pantheon's fractured musings, but the interval between their myths. I am known by silence, and remembered in collapse. The tongue of man has called me many things. In their trembling need for taxonomy, they whisper eldritch, not for origin, but for the shape dread takes when it survives its own telling. Hades said nothing. The word meant nothing to him. It drifted past him like wind said, as a thought. Thy rhetoric festers with theater now, he replied, his tone sharpening. Yet I shall extract thy thesis ere silence reclaims thee. Speak, and unmask thy premise. I do not peddle salvation, Nyarlathotep replied. I offer reconstitution, thy name reinscribed upon the palimpsest that follows cataclysm. Myths rot, but certain names endure. You may endure, warden, if you adapt. Hades straightened just slightly. The flicker of interest was not consent, but calculation. "Articulate thy poison, then," he said, voice like the toll of sealed tombs, "or become the moss upon my wall, forgotten, useless, and undesired." Nyarlathotep's mask inclined in what might have been amusement or punctuation. "There exists a kingdom," Nyarlathotep began, each syllable uncoiling with intentional decay. "Camelot, revered, resplendent. But beneath its luster, brittle, its blade slumbers, its throne grows hollow. Its myth decays not in silence, but in repetition." "A child's parable," Hades scoffed. "A confection of sentiment, mortal scaffolding, knighted nostalgia." "Indeed," Nyarlathotep conceded, and there was no irony in it, only precision. "But even sentiment's scaffold structure, disassemble the edifice, and the resonance may reach that which dreams." The invocation hung between them. And then Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, answered with one expelling rot from ancient lungs. "I speak of Azathoth, the fulcrum of dormancy, the source of disorder rendered quiescent. His slumber binds cause to effect, law to form. When he dreams in silence, the script adheres. Should he stir, ontology itself unravels." At this, Hades rose. The throne behind him sighed, not in protest but in relief, as though the monument too had grown weary of stillness. "I have heard of such a god. You speak of dismantling metaphysics," he said, "of rupturing the threads that hold meaning to time. To what conceivable end?" Nyarlathotep's robes flared slightly, not from wind but implication. "To liberation," he said, "from adulation, from teleology, from the tyranny of recurrence. The script has repeated too long. It yearns to be torn. Some shall perish in the fray. Others shall write the next verse." Silence returned. It did not descend. It waited. Hades' pace now, slow and deliberate. Each step ground against the layered sediment of dead epochs. "Thy proposal wears opportunity as its mask," he said, "but beneath, I discern famine. Even entropy hungers beneath the tyranny of permanence," Nyarlathotep replied, soft but vast. "This is not impulse, it is recursion. The end uninvited is chaos, but the end chosen is authorship." Hades halted. The shadows clung to him like jealous attendants. His gaze turned inward, and then back toward the god who bore no face. "The dead sing no hymns," he said. "They obey. They recede. I am not venerated. I am accepted. Even Persephone once sought to sow spring within these depths. For a time, she succeeded. I let her believe it. But silence devours all things. Even her. Even Olympus." His voice dropped to something colder than wrath. "They know not what they cast aside. Not she, nor my brethren. They who cloaked themselves in tempest and tide, while I was made to guard the ledgers of ends." Nyarlathotep advanced a single step, and reality creaked in protest. "Yet thresholds may become thrones," he whispered. "You need not remain the interlude. You may become the silence that renders symphony obsolete." A breath passed, and in it, consideration. Hades turned slowly, the gold-veined obsidian catching the ember glow of long-dead braziers. "Speak truly," he said. "Can Azathoth bestow Olympus? Restore what should have been mine, not by heritage, but by merit? I who bore the record while they drank their praise, Was I not sovereign when the firmament was still clay? Nyarlathotep bowed his head slightly. The twin mask orbit slowing. He bestows naught, he answered. He dreams. But in the unraveling of his dream scaffolding, Olympus shall fracture. In that ruin, thou may seize what thou wert denied. Not in echo, in essence. And Hades smiled. It was not the smile of joy, nor satisfaction, it was the slow, bleak curve of a calculus finally resolved. They dressed themselves in roar and deluge, Hades said, as if invoking a private scripture. I became the steward of cessation, yet never did they fear cessation. They will. They must. He turned, no longer pacing, but striding with certainty. The throne behind him dimmed in recognition, not abandoned, but outgrown. Camelot, he declared, voice curving like a scythe through air and myth. Let its sanctity degrade. Let its memory collapse beneath the sediment of verity. Nyarlathotep did not nod. He punctuated with stillness, with gravity. His mask rotated one last time, the weeping face crossing into the light before vanishing again into shadow. Then I shall compose the prelude to its requiem. Write it in fire, Hades replied, and sign it in silence. The words did not echo. They became law, and far beyond where Camelot once stood, a sigil of virtue and spectacle bound by swords and songs, a fracture rippled through its foundation. It did not shatter. It drifted. Unmoored from consensus, it slipped through the folds of leaf, siphoning memory from its marrow with every breathless mile. Towers dimmed, banners wilted. The once unbreakable bond of night and myth was not broken, only misplaced. At last, the kingdom came to rest, not destroyed, but unremembered, nested within the ashen fields of Elysium, where even triumph forgets its name. The sleeper did not stir, but he noticed. Funglui azatoten lui, zrotkna